Same stations.
Also taking cognizance of the audience. Like,
Go.
how did you get to that place? You know, of being able to talk at this level.
I'm just gonna close this.
The other side.
The other side.
Other side.
Oh, really? What? Oh.
Yeah.
So, like, how did
Sure.
were you always able to talk on this empathetic, psychological ideas? You know.
This is why I always say I thank the universe, because I wasn't that guy at all coming out of high school. You know, like.
What guy were you? Let's go.
Let's flash
Let's
some
go.
profile pics from I've got 3 in mind that might fit.
He's got this video.
I've got 3 in mind that might
fuck.
fit. Like,
He's
but
fucking
what
got this
was-
video
no, like-
made of partying. He showed me. It's the first video he showed
let's
me.
say
It's awesome.
ego involved, like felt like, you know, the world owes me something, or, you know, like always that fucking, I don't know, it's not that it was horrible, but it was definitely mentally mentally detrimental to me at the time, because of expectations of the world and people and where my career's headed, and
Like a lot of
and
comparison.
girls and fucking everything that, you know, life hits you with when you fly out of the nest. You know? And coincidentally, what I used to get over it, was what led me to kind of the implementations of how I want to carry myself psychologically, you know. Like how I want to be in the world, you know. And like I'm still a lot of the same Schalk that I was, you know, when I grew up, but there's definitely fundamental things that like changed, that was a byproduct of like festivals, you know. Like I just wanted to party, and I feel like there's this like ladder you also climb from starting with house parties with your mates in high school and having fun. And I think there was definitely something healthy that came from it as well, but let's be honest, some fucking unhealthy times as well. You know, pushing your body
For fun.
to the limit with
You've
alcohol,
got
and like,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't fucking, it
But
wasn't a teacher device at the time. It was just excelling in life and getting the most out of it, and like
It's
meeting
like
more people.
How you never know. You're like, okay, I'm gonna start partying, but then when you party, you're like, okay, but that guy can drink 8 beers. Like, can I drink it?
Yeah.
And then you go, and then you'd have to find like where your limit is at
Dude,
least
so
like once or twice. You know.
Obviously caught up with ego involvement, that's not a healthy road, you know. And like obviously while I was doing it, I was like, fuck mate, like I don't know, like I'm still, you know, early 20s, like I can do this, but I need to start thinking about, you know, like taking
what
it
age was
easier.
this?
Maybe like 20, 23, 24,
Okay.
you know, especially when you get into the business of partying, you know, because I shot for festivals, you know, I shoot a lot of festivals and I shoot a lot of parties, and I knew from a rock bottom while I was in that environment that the only way I can reapproach this whole thing and want to make a business from it and this and that is if I like find a grip on it now, and like because I knew I was going to be at festivals shooting it every other weekend, and if I don't find a grip on my substance use in the world, and I'm talking about alcohol, and I'm talking about weed even, and I'm talking about, you know, like there's a right way and a wrong way, you know.
Definitely.
And I think you need to go through those phases to completely bring it into your being of realization, and to completely like realize how important it is not to be on that side of the spectrum, or, you know, like
Yeah, of course.
find your relationship with it and be honest about yourself, you know, what that relationship is. And I always say you connect to your higher self when you make more important decisions, you know. Psychologically, that's kind of like a good way to explain it through Jungian words.
You don't want to be on the shadow.
Yeah. Well, shadow work is also healthy.
No, but I mean, you don't want to make the higher decisions with the shadow.
Oh, no,
you know what I'm saying? Because there's always.
No.
I feel like when you come to a decision, or even if it's like a success in life, there's always a shadow in the life as well, and a choice.
Yeah.
So you always have to like choose between two things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can almost feel like, ooh, this is a good decision, but I really want to do this. And then it's like, how regularly can you take the higher consciousness decision? It's just constant, like trees.
Because you inherently know what those answers are for yourself, but you don't always do it, right? It's like, I need to exercise more and I don't, you know? Like, it's those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
This is a bad example. But even back then, I was exercising, but for the wrong reasons. Like, just to look good, you know? Only after, like, my own subjective experience of enlightenment through a psychedelic substance have I like connected to the more let's say lasting and like archetypal, but more like pure higher self reasons to do those things. Because now I exercise, but not to look good, but to rather feel good and to feel mentally clear and to feel healthy. You know, because you have this gift of a vessel, of a body that it's actually so awesome if you really think about it.
It's to do all these playthings.
And you want to upgrade it, bro. You want to be able to run around in fucking nature.
Some different armor, dude.
And operate your camera how you want to. You know? Even if that's in an underwater housing in a fucking shooting surfers and for 3 hours, you know.
And then not to mention the psychological aspect of being able to do something that might seem tough in the beginning, or something you don't want to do, but you do it regularly, and there's pain involved. And going through that as well, which is that's why I do it.
Dude, exactly. And dude, I wanna just mention my favorite form of that thing, and I like it because it overlaps with a lot of things that I feel I need to do in my day. But like trail running, dude, I'm addicted, dude. Trail running is sick because you can do it kind of anywhere where there's nature and stuff, and you do fucking road running if you have to, just to practice for more trail running, you know? Because trail running, bro, I do it most days if it's, you know, if I'm not too busy and whatever. And I just go up the mountain, got a little route that I like, you know. Someone I want to give a shout out to that's been a like online guru for me is Andrew Huberman. Go check out the Huberman.
Andrew Huberman podcast is like, insane,
dude. He's like information on neurology.
That's that stuff I played for you that I said Schalk showed me, where he's speaking about like hormone management and like sleep cycles and like
your
anxiety, creativity, any neurological process. He'll do a 2.5 hour podcast,
and it's like high level.
It's like, dude, it's the newest papers on it, the cutting edge research on it. Like, dude, if you read a book about it, there's a chance that book was published 20 fucking years ago, dude. The cutting edge research is happening now, dude.
You have to be on that.
Dude, check Lex Friedman's newest podcast with this Wolfman or Wolfgang guy. I can't remember his. Dude, they're getting close to explaining the nature of reality, bro. Like
what?
Like as in, why is there something as opposed to nothing? Which to me was also like this deeper.
Oh yes,
like something I've always like.
I want to watch that.
With a little bit, and it's like a dark, shadowy.
But
it's an important shadowy mental state to go into sometimes. But dude, they almost explain that, and how do you explain that, dude? Like I don't even know we could explain shit like that. You know?
It's
but it's very confusing. It's very like high jargon, like.
Oh, so you can't explain
the language.
You're not
like,
gonna be able to.
No. I'd say check that shit out.
I
can't translate it, but the bits of information that I do get, like say the 40% of the understanding of the 100% they're trying to. Not that they have the 100%, but they're getting closer to like big answers. You know.
Oh, hectic.
And dude. The little bit I got was so profound, you know, and but it's so difficult to translate because they have the language. I don't have the language.
Oh, definitely check that out.
But
1 second.
I just wanted to get to the Andrew Huberman thing that to conclude that, bro, with the trail running. It's a big thing that he gave me that rite of passage, knowing that, you know, like, and I feel like it's good for people to know that because it's free. It's almost like breathing exercises, right? It's free.
Don't need anything for it, bro.
And it's so good for you. But so the thing that I'm like talking on right now is Andrew Huberman said, morning light, like as soon as the sun rises, if you get morning light into your eyes, it hits your fucking
first hour.
Yeah, it hits the part of your brain that activates the right brain chemistry, that activates parts of yourself that's more motivated, determination, like wanting to work, like maybe dopamine and serotonin. I don't know which one, but one of the two also, you know.
I think serotonin, but yeah.
Anyway, but the golden light especially though, that's why we love sunsets as well, bro. It's actually neurologically good for us, dude. So sunsets applies the same thing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's
and
crazy.
It's because our body is used to this archetypal way of going through life. We think we're smart by being future kids and living in a different way. We're actually just going against our natural ways of being happy. Why is depression now a problem, bro? I promise you right now, like in the hunter-gatherer times, no one had a word for depression.
No, there was no depression.
And it was like, not that it was all sunshine and rainbows. They still shat around the bush, you know. But I'm sure that was fun because they didn't know about toilets, right? So it was just shitting. There's nothing fucking depressing about it. We're just shitting in the woods, you know.
It's all very like
we spoiled, bro.
We're
now
so
we go to the woods.
We're missing a lot of the things that actually lead
to
happiness with the things that say it however you want to say.
Because
you want Alex
because I think
and all of the
because I don't think it's as simple as say no to drugs, but there's definitely caution around it, you know. And I think there's definitely like, I almost see it like if I'm gonna climb Mount Everest, there's certain things I put in place for something that daring.
Of course.
You know.
Of course.
Maybe that's more an analogy closer to transcendental journeys, and like if we're going deep now, you know, like transcendental is anything you take enough to let you leave your body. It's an AR experience. No, it's a VR.
VR,
experience. Because AR would just be you're seeing visuals from psychedelics. You know, that would be. There's a layer of
augmented reality.
Yeah, augmented reality and virtual reality. So augmented would be like how Google glasses and Apple glasses will
like
be.
An overlay.
Yeah, the overlay of the reality you're actually seeing, and that's like. That's really fun, you know, and it's recreational, and it's, you know, you can get a lot from it even, and it can get weird, like you see people's auras and shit, you know, like it can get quite whack in a magical way. But then the VR is obviously the
you got to lie down kind of vibes.
Yeah, you're not wherever you just smoked that or you did that, you know, you're going. Well, I mean, they're trying to explain it through dimensional space or you're going inside the mind in a symbolical way. There's a lot of different.
I've got a theory. Different
theories around it. But you know, like that type of stuff deserves caution and research before even thinking about it. You know. But I think like on a more recreational level, what happened to me early on, how I had my ego death and went through that whole thing, was basically I just started loving psychedelics. I was forced to take them, not forced. I was forced to take them as opposed to any other drug when I started going to festivals, because that's kind of like, let's not beat around the bush. That's what people do at festivals. Whether you manipulate your consciousness with weed or alcohol, you're going through some sort of mental
augmented reality.
Well, if you go that deep,
everybody's come to have a good time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's there, they're high energy, they came to have a good time.
They want to have a good time and socialize, and there's substances for that, you know, and there's like responsible ways to have fun with it, and there's irresponsible ways to have fun with it, you know. It doesn't stay fun. And you know, like I guess I saw that happen around me, and because I was so entrenched with like shooting parties and all that stuff, seeing it happen so in your face. It's like such a healthy way to then make the decision for yourself. Okay, cool. If I want to be in these spaces now, I need to not be that. And how do I not be that?
And still have it.
Yeah, and still be able to be there. You know, is if I'm strict with myself, if I bring Corporal Schalk in there, you know, and that's always been an inside joke.
It's an analogy
with Luke about like, you know, your mind is split up in these different like higher self, shadow self. Yeah. And I've created a mental entity called Corporal Schalk that keeps me in check.
It's like when you want to make a bad decision, it's like
very useful for business, very useful for checking your addictions. Very useful for, and I try to listen to him. I don't always listen to Corporal, and he's not stoked about it. But like, there's a higher part of myself that's more liberated than this military part of myself.
How do you get to the liberation of that higher self? Like
speaking about the substances,
so I think
the substance.
We earlier spoke about technology and how it's evolving. I also see consciousness as it's an easier way to explain it as a technology evolving, and you decide what firmware upgrades and whatever you want to plug into it to now.
Yeah.
I don't want to say up or down, but like at least in different states.
Order
right?
and chaos.
Yeah, and that's how you program yourself to go through life. You know, it's easier to see it mechanically because then it's easier to explain. Because biologically, we're still just trying to still get there. I think we're getting there.
But also, wait, I wanted to say, don't you think that there's a universal basic internet that's of the mind, like the Akashic field? And because we all actually have the ability to transcend, the AR into more of a VR state, that we could all have the potential to access a universal, like, Akashic state where all knowledge is held.
I think we've done it, actually. And I think we're, like, reliving time as if we haven't.
Ooh.
Yo, dude, again.
That is a psychedelic thought, bro.
That's just obviously speculation. Just
it feels, don't you? That is the threshold feeling.
Trippy ideas.
That's the threshold feeling I've forgotten about, bro.
But
that's
but
crazy.
I feel like
like when something just like.
So I don't know if so I've had a massive shrooms trip.
Yeah.
And just before my shrooms trip, what you reach is there's like this fear, like balance. If you fear too much, you kind of stay away. You don't go through the threshold into like a different place, like a VR. Then you kind of stay within your this version or iteration of yourself. Whereas if you let go of the fear, it's like you're meeting your old friend, but it's yourself. But it's like such a massively bigger part of yourself that when you're back in like everyday sober reality, you feel like just a small portion of it. Whereas like the greater portion of you when you go through a transcendental experience is kind of what you meet on the other side.
Because I also think that your consciousness has got all this baggage on it now to go through whatever it has to go through now. But time is the weird talkie here because people speak about that space as being timeless.
Yeah.
And like a timeless space means you are already then the full potential of yourself. And just what I wanted to get to with like the technology analogy was like there's a point that Elon Musk also talks about called the singularity. That's like the point where it's like not that the process stops, but it's almost like you see the progress of human existence, and it's this kind of it's like getting really steep all of a sudden here towards the end of our like. He almost sees that will reach as a singularity, and what Dune is trying to say in their whole like archetypal hero's journey through their storyline is it's maybe not technological, that singularity, whatever that is that we're reaching to maybe transcend this dimension into a whole other crazy realm that we can't even fathom. Or to live in some sort of state that doesn't have this burden of life and the suffering that comes with existence.
We could become like a collective consciousness.
We created this in a way for us to go through something, and then maybe the point of singularity is where we've done it. You know? And we're now like transcending this entire like fucking like matrix into like this other space where other gods have transcended their matrixes, and everyone kind of is on this, like, let's say godlike.
I feel weird in my body, dude. I feel weird.
But I feel like that place would be if all of humanity had to connect, like consciously. You know what I'm saying?
I really have to, because this was a recent discovery, and before I forget it, because I said it yesterday for the first time.
Okay.
But like. Dune again.
Yeah.
He's got this hero's journey, the pressure from his father and stuff. It's like the classic story, venturing out on the adventure, and he finds psychedelics along the way. But he's already kind of like intuitionally in tune. Sorry, spoiler alerts. I'll keep it broad.
Yeah.
We won't spoil too much. I mean,
if it does, we'll chop it. Don't worry.
No. It's really part of this point.
Okay, let's go.
So he goes through this fucking...
Yeah, they just don't have to listen to it.
Yeah.
Stop at this point.
Yeah.
And then come back after like 5 minutes.
So he's already intuitional. He sees this dream, this destiny that he needs to fulfill. he needs to like connect these tribes and create a oneness that we all know, like, or that all the religions kind of get to, this one consciousness. And that is kind of the Messiah's journey as well, right? It's the Buddha and the Jesus. And what do we know about the Buddha? He reached it. He reached his subjective, maybe, singularity through pure nirvana and enlightenment through meditation or whatever Buddha was doing at the time. I don't know the guy, but I just good things.
Okay.
Yeah. We're sitting at a tree.
Yeah.
And meditated for 3 days.
And dude, like when he was there, he was like, I need to come back and teach this to the rest of the subjective consciousness.
So there's two different types of Buddhas.
And I think that was Jesus' kind of journey, you know, like if he was a real dude and, you know, can't make any claims, but, you know, I've got a feeling he was real. And, you know, other messiahs and shit, you know, I think that was their, like, journey. It was just to connect people to this ultimate, like, state of consciousness. And that comes through, like, this practice that they're trying to preach, you know.
Yeah.
But it's been, like, broken telephone over the years, like, don't just like, like, not trying to condemn anyone or say their knowledge is more real than others, but like, test out your knowledge with other, like, belief systems, you know, like, work on that hierarchy of belief all the time to make sure that whatever your aim is now in life is pure and it feels to you right, you know, because no one can make that, build on that hierarchy of belief other than yourself. It's a subjective journey, right? But so here's the ultimate realization that I've kind of had with if another Messiah comes, right?
Yeah.
If another Messiah comes, that could be the singularity event. Like, maybe like, that's not how Dune exactly happens, but say like, someone like Tom Hardy all of a sudden just flips the fucking lid on truth and he's like, guys, like, actually meditation and like fucking psychedelics and like this Andrew Huberman way of life, connecting to humanity, this other realms, this thing that we need to connect to transcend this universe. If he now steps up to the podium and people are following him and he explodes in a spiritual way, like Russell Brand's already doing it, you know, but I feel like even someone bigger, you know, because he's got the Messiah complex thing that people talk about down, right? But what if someone even bigger does that and people follow him and it works, because it does really work, right? Why would I'm also very skeptical and I need to try things before adapting them into my life, and I'm really skeptical about trying that thing before I adopt it into my life, and that's the way to go, I feel, you know, like don't hold yourself too dogmatic, instantialized, like kind of belief systems, you know, like you, like, still, there's a reason why certain things have stuck around. That's why I mentioned the Bible. Like, there's probably a reason it's the oldest fucking book in the world. But I'm not necessarily saying go to church, you know, because
then it's different.
You know, like, rather.
And it's about people.
But I'm also saying don't go to church, you know, like my parents are part of a church that really enlightens their life, you know, and I totally support the whole thing. And we can talk about the deep things and overlap our beliefs rather than, you know. So what I just wanted to actually get to was like, I think if a big Messiah steps up now and the psychedelic bubble bursts and people just like accept these things and wants to embrace it into their lives, it's rather not like pharmaceuticals, but like actually, you know, like organically healthy based substances that has clinics and real world knowledge and neo shamans that put people through these experiences, and basically like the hero in each person needs to wake up, 100%. The archetypal hero, and they need to step up to the podium. And I feel that could be a tipping point in that's the silver lining of hope I have for our future, you know, because like someone like Elon Musk is kind of already doing it, but people have their own thoughts about him, and I get that, and I get it. He's not exactly the hero Gotham deserves.
But it's the one we got. And he's from South Africa. Let's go.
No, but you understand what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
3 more Elon Musks that have an even more enlightened state of thought, and like they could like do it for us, you know. That could be the fucking.
Do you think that that's tied into like Friedrich Nietzsche and Übermensch, which is like when God has died, because religion is kind of falling away.
Like enlightenment,
So we've got to find people that are like willing to lead, but lead from a good place. You know what I'm saying? But at this stage,
it's like Jordan Peterson says, bro, we don't know the limits of our capabilities, bro. Like, when people have followed these rules that we are talking about, that self-help gurus, it's been Leonardo da Vinci's, and it's been like, you know, the most epic people in the history of humanity. And if you look back at the way they were living and stuff, that overlaps with these ways of life and these, you know, like, so like, yeah, do your research for yourself, man. Your capability and potential is limitless.
Yeah,
you know, true. And I didn't necessarily get born into like the most like substantial way where I had the best opportunities. Like I meet Oz who's got 3 years of experience while they were in high school, because they, you know, like fucking newest dad, a cinematographer dad, you know, like, and I have to compete with that. And then I think that's unfair, but how unfair am I to the people who's got even worse circumstance than that, you know? That's not even bad, you know, from that perspective, you know?
Yeah.
But as an egotistical person growing up, you're like always blaming the world, like, oh, they got all the opportunities, I'm in this spot, like, and then when I look 100%. Back, I'm like, oh, is it a fucking great opportunity, bro? Like, there's things happening for me, you know, and I can be super thankful for that, you know? And not everyone has that fucking just unfolding in front of them the same way than it has for others. But the trap you fall into is blaming the world, right? Because you can do nothing about the world. But if you blame yourself, there's actually something you can do about it.
Accountability.
So wouldn't that be a better realization and solution to life if life really is that hectic, you know?
Dude, that's taking the hero's journey as well.
Yeah, stop blaming the world and fucking work on yourself
it's
and
like,
make that fucking
it's also
journey.
like, just keep the energy, you know? If you want to unlock the limitless potential that you have, you need energy to do it, like you need energy to do anything. You know what I'm saying? Old people don't do as much because they don't have the energy, right? So if you think of energy as a concept, you go, okay, cool. If I think about all the negative things which detract energy from me, not just focused energy where I'm thinking, right? But also it detracts energy from me because I feel worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So
relevant,
where you
right?
place the energy, if you can place it on more good things, and that's the journey that you're taking, it's like you can almost add the energy up collectively, and then when you focus on anything now, you can bring all of that energy, being positive, being kind, being empathetic. All of those things are tools like gratitude.
Because if you see it like that, hate or like jealousy or that's bad energies that you're releasing, not just in your environment but in your own fucking way of being. And if you just then decide rather to be like, I'll rather release a motivational sort of energy where I feel like I need to work harder now on my work.
Let me make it practical, bro. I'm gonna make it practical for people listening. So, if you think about it, right? Say for instance, somebody's doing something bad to you. If I spend time thinking about that, even if it's for 1 second, it's a second wasted that I could have been using that second with more energy on something else.
Right, exactly.
So that's the practical nature of it.
Yeah.
Think about the thing that you're doing, which is present experience.
Yeah. Which is actually such a fucking gift. That's why they call it the present.
No.
Trail running story, though.
Okay, trail running. Andrew Huberman, sunlight hits your eyes first thing in the morning. That's what you need for the day. Fresh air. Okay, so sunlight, fresh air in nature, bro. Like being in nature is almost like watching the ocean. There's literally a neurological repercussion of watching the ocean. Those blues and things does things to your brain, and it calms you, and it's like it's an antidepressant.
Same way Zen music can also calm.
So basically, the human experience is the antidepressant. We've been through technology like going away from. And
wait, dude, how can you just skip over what you said, dude?
Reintroduce the human experience into your life, and being a human is waking up and fucking watching sunrise.
There's like 4 words in there, bro. It's what I need apparently, bro. Dude, you're watching too many Let's Make the podcast, aren't you? Yo. So the human experience.
I gotta give it to the weed, bro. That's the weed talking now, bro.
It's not you.
It makes so much sense. Yeah, bro. That was I don't know what happened there, bro.
Yes.
So guys, thanks for coming.
Oh, dude, is that a recurring theme? Because I feel like you like that thing of this.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what I almost see happening here, which I just realized, was like Andrew Huberman is basically connecting you to how your human body is used to being in the world, and you used to not eat the way we eat now. So he tells you which foods and stuff and all that fucking detail, which I'm not going to get into.
Yeah.
He tells you what your body needs in terms of motion and stimulation, and even your eyes, all your senses, dude. You know, and he maps out for you how your brain can, like, as I said, get some sort of antidepressant and more experiential life experience by following this guy's fucking knowledge. And so with the trail running, basically, the trail running connects to a lot of his things.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I started trail running seriously.
Up at sunrise, going out for the run in the fresh air.
So much sense, dude. That thing that you said about human experience being an antidepressant, it makes so much sense to me, because I always used to say, very recently, that being almost siloed is what causes you to like almost fall from a state of consciousness into a state of being unconscious, I think where literally all I was saying was the opposite spectrum of what you said, where it's go for life, but a lot of people that feel siloed and feel like either the world revolves around them or nobody cares.
Look, dude,
you know what I'm saying?
I don't blame them, you know why? Because I went through it as well, you know. I was like a hardcore computer geek for like games and staying indoors. Like skating unlocked a world for me outside of the home, which was as stimulating as gaming for me.
Shout out Jordan Peterson.
So what I'm trying to get at is there's enough reason to stay at home if you don't want to take the risk and go out. You know, there's enough things to stimulate you, to make your life seem meaningless enough to just be above depression. You're kind of this, you're just stoked enough about life, you know. And so and there's dips within that, and you don't understand why the dips happen, and it's like hectic dips maybe, but you get back to that point where you can just watch your favorite show, Netflix, and order Mr. Delivery, and just spend time on your couch, you know.
Maybe the key to
which I love doing, by the way. Fuck, I don't
Every
want to take it
now
away
and
from
then.
anyone.
Yeah, but in proportion. But also, don't you
proportion.
think the key to like people being able to almost stay above the breadline of depression, right, and being in a state of just staying indoors and things like that, the key to that is lack of knowledge, bro. It's like if you don't absorb the knowledge in this part.
Totally, bro. And I think what you're getting to is, and what the pure fight here is for us, maybe what we're doing right now is education. You know, 100%. Like not that this is purely for educational purposes. This should be entertaining, I'm sure, and whatever.
There's
some things that are being talked about that you can now like go further and study on your own and decide if you want to inherently bring it into your being or not.
It's opinions to debate against yours and make your life better.
And this is what you guys are doing here now, by the way, which is fucking cool. And I also want to get on that more, bro. And I've actually got this thing that I want to do with Courtney. We had a talkie about like we still want to do a passion project together because she's in the industry, I'm in the industry. We haven't worked together yet. And this is part of like just stimulating that like fun side of what you do, you know, connect with other creatives, like fucking 100%. Do passion projects, and like, you know, like if it went well, you do another one, if you know, like and try to aim it somewhere where it's at least it can become something as well, you know. Yeah.
It is. This is just
human
part
experience.
Like, this is one experience, and it's just part of all the experiences you get to have.
But think about it, dude. The more people you get together, the bigger thing you can create, and the difference between Schalk shooting alone on a day because he's not getting paid, or us shooting on this shoot today, and I got 4 people involved. You know what I mean? Like the capabilities of a group, if everyone was going to give a free day anyway, is just insane. The more people you have, because then just you can do anything.
There's 2 ways of seeing it. I went to work today, or I got to play with my friends.
Exactly. And if you love your work with me, it's not even work,
dude. And so we want to do this passion project where we want to actually touch on what you just like highlighted there, bro. And it's education, dude. We want to like run for deeper education, not just like business education stuff, but like liberating your mind education, you know, like, and that's why we want to go in full tie-dye on this like UCTC race. That's like running all around Table Mountain.
Yeah.
And we want to do the 35k, which is fucking
that's deep.
And
what is your?
psychedelic, and then educate. Just educate.
Just educate.
And then a barcode at the back that if you scan it, then it takes you to shroom knowledge of psychology and what shrooms does for depression.
And then you guys win, bro, because you're like,
So it's not, we thought about on the nose stuff, drop acid, not bombs and stuff like that. That was going around. But then I was like, well, what are we actually trying to do here? I condensed the whole movement down. Condensed the whole movement down to what we actually wanted here, and we wanted education.
Educate.
And not that we're gonna tell you some shit that we know. No, we're gonna connect you to the people that know the shit.
That's all.
That's knowledge.
And through some flashy, cool, fucking.
It's a bridge.
I don't know, I'll just.
So cool, bro. I would love to do that.
I love that barcode. Bro, when we do this challenge for the podcast. Bro, what if we also wear t-shirts with some barcode that takes you to something?
Oh,
it takes you to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Okay, cool. I got you. I got you.
It could be obviously the YouTube channel, but it could also take it to a website. So if we take if we take a curate type of thing, where you've got all
in the corner. Dude, so if you want to go to Andrew Women's Podcast, barcode in the corner.
Yeah.
Then you can. Someone can just on their phone immediately go to that.
Exactly.
They don't have to search it.
Dude, we can definitely you can just edit that in.
Yeah.
It's
even if I mention something like the Kabbalion, right? Even if I mention something like the Kabbalion, because I wanted to vergelijk, what? I wanted to compare. I wanted to compare fucking the Kabbalion and Think and Grow Rich, because it overlaps in the way in The Secret and all those things. But and the Kabbalion is an interesting one because it's not really a religion or anything. It's just said that the Freemasons reads the Kabbalion and they base their esoteric belief on the Kabbalion.
There's a linkage. There's definitely a linkage between the Kabbalion and the outlook of the Freemasonry. Because the Freemasonry are you find competent people that you surround yourself by and you guys do things together. Which is exactly the concept we just talked about. If you're going to create a group of the cutting edge let's call them photographers, videographers in Cape Town.
Yeah.
You guys are choosing who you're working with. And by nature of you being the best in the area, then that's going to determine who you work with. So it's kind of I don't know, in the Freemasonry, some of the Freemasonry principles. Not that I am a Freemason. I just went into it.
You said that.
No barcode.
Because the Freemasons are also different to the Illuminati. No, but it's different. There's so many different sects and societies, bro. It's insane. I think.
You know who I like that's also with barcoding? Barcode right there.
Let's go. It'll probably come up there.
Is Manly P Hole.
Oh.
Which shouldn't be said really quickly.
Yeah.
Then it just sounds like Manly P Hole. Which ironically is oh shit. That's why he never made it big.
Yeah.
He was profound, but he never made it big. I think they just tuned the shit out of him.
He just got cut down.
His whole name and surname. And I don't know why he kept the abbreviation there, right? Just be Manly Hall.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be Manly Hall, man.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
It's still
Valhalla.
I'm Manly Hall, dude.
I'm Manly Hall, bro. Oh shit. You would have made it. You would have made it.
Yeah.
Anyway, bro. Manly P Hall.
You had that set up, dude.
It's so
you
set
had
up.
that set up. Best believe.
Fuck,
dude.
bro.
Sorry, Manly.
Love
you,
love his
love
work.
you and all your knowledge.
Human farming and that.
He's got online stuff, and he was a 33-degree Freemason apparently.
Oh, hectic.
Dude, so his stuff basically just explains the Freemasons' whole esoteric belief, and they keep it very secretive, those levels, right? I'm sure in the bottom levels you don't get the cloak experience.
Yeah. And all that shit.
But yeah, it's I think it's interesting things to question, because I also go to Dubai and I see the level of their absurd richness,
It's crazy.
the fucking levels they're on, bro, is it's godly,
Really?
even the hotel I went to was the nicest hotel I've ever been to, and it's not even not even worth mentioning when you go to Dubai with money.
Yes.
You know?
Really? What?
Yeah, dude.
But also, like, don't you think that like is such a distraction?
So you know, the Sheikh situation there is also like it's interesting. You know, it's whack because a Sheikh owns the whole Dubai. Like any property that's being sold there is sold through him.
Yeah.
The
main property company there is his company. And like you know, he just it's. Dude, it's so absurd because this is what made me fuck out a bit when I had like cigarette breaks with some of the O's that lived there, and they gave me some like inside info, like just some speculation on the situation there, you know, and because it's speculation.
Yeah.
No barcode. Like apparently, like the money they made from oil, because there's no oil there anymore, so they don't make money anymore. But the money they made, 80% gets put into like money machine investments. You know, like I don't even have the right lingo for these things because, like I said,
it's
I'm
like
not talking about money.
Investments.
Yeah.
They just get the dividends or what? They just get
Oh, like angel investing. So they just invest in companies
and they live off the dividends. So what do you call
dividends,
it?
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. So they just like 80% of their money, which is you can't even comprehend. It's just somewhere making more money. And the dividends they make off that is already just God mode. You know?
Oh, yeah, completely.
It's actually hard to spend all the dividends.
There's no way.
Of the amounts that you get off. You know, like obviously if you build the fucking Burj Khalifa and you go that level,
but like
you break your dividends. But dude, it's that fucking level of shit, bro. And then it makes you think about the 1%, you know. And then it makes you think about, dude, if we're middle class and lower class now, we're never gonna catch up, bro. Those people money are just making more money. Like they'll never lose that.
They never
you
will.
don't lose that.
Yeah.
So the thing is, we have to change the not change the financial system, but you have to basically grow your own food. Because if you're self-sustaining, then you can buy out of whatever game of games.
Yeah.
You get to play the friend game and workers play game.
Yeah.
You don't have to play the corporate ladder, like, I don't know, social, like ego hierarchy type of game. Because if you
that's the trap, bro. When you start getting into the game and like you start getting successful, you forgot how you got there.
Yeah.
And now you're like just following this money trail. And
dude, that's why I told you that story before. Going back home, dude.
Yeah.
And realizing all that shit just so that I don't get complacent, so that I know how I got there.
Yeah.
So fucking also on the
money should
yachts.
be spiritual, bro. You should see it as sacred. You know, like it should more be a thing that
energy transfer
that allows you to reach the goals that you've also maybe stated in your higher self realizations and stuff, rather than your shadow needs and your like egotistical fucking side that maybe would just blow it on things, you know? Because dude, going through like this career lottery thing as well, as in like one job can like really fucking mean a lot for you financially. There's also like a microdose of the test, you know, like I feel like some people just get rich and famous all of a sudden, and they didn't have a little trial run to like see how like you go through the money thing, and then all of a sudden you don't have that much anymore, and you just play middle class Schalk again.
And
Before you
iterate. They don't have the iterations, bro.
Yeah.
You have to
be
keep
able
climbing.
to understand what is actually happening and best way to go about it while it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Because the speed.
Yeah.
So everybody that's trying to reach things quickly, the speed at which you're doing it allows for less experience to happen and for you to have a better grasp of what's actually happening in order to be happy within that situation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to build the fundamentals right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The base is right.
Because the aim is the most important thing. Because that's the thing that I would get to through all the. We haven't even mentioned Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, I know. This shit. Jordan, if you ever see this, bro, please.
Yeah.
Do just half an hour. No, wait, what does Gary Vee says? 9 minutes of your time.
yeah, that's all.
Jordan P, man.
Jordan
what
Peterson.
A guru, man. What a fucking man.
I really feel like it's like confronting the dragon. So like that thing that you just said about the speed that you go at and then not having the experience is like you have to enter the field where it's darkest to you so that you can overcome the most fear, because courage isn't present without fear, and you can only go and best the biggest dragon in order to win anything, because if it hasn't been a struggle for you, it's something that Jim Quick says. He's like this mental arithmetics and like insane thinker, boy with a broken brain. But he instead of teaching you about things and ways to think, he literally teaches you how to structure the processes of thinking in your mind, if that makes sense. Like, how to remember 100 things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that more
very
like
practical.
Very practical application.
Yeah.
He says that long-term memory is a result of emotionality and like meaning or novelty. But the emotion can also create the novelty. So if you are very present, like as in the power of now, because you're always in touch with that empath side, you can't be empathetic without being present and like seeing what's happening, if that makes sense. That will like, I don't know, almost increase the amount of memory that you have. Like in a given moment. And if you can do that, then you're always confronting the dragon. Because the dragon is, in my understanding, or something that I've been thinking about, is it's how willingly you confront, like, not truth, but how willingly you won't deceive, which also ties back into Jordan Peterson. It's like, in every moment, obviously you're going to be deceived and you're going to not know what's happening. But if you always act in a way that is in line with your inner, like, whatever's inside, the truthfulness, then you're always confronting the dragon, if that makes sense. And like...
as distilled down to that symbolical thing.
Because the dragon is just a mistake that you made previously, always, if that makes sense. Obviously, sometimes there's adversity and things that go through life, but because you can know all of the things that you've done, normally when you make a mistake or deceive or something like that happens, it always loops back into your life as a problem again.
Because I think if you don't confront the dragon, it's almost like the drug addict not admitting he's got a problem. If you don't confront the dragon, you don't confront the weaknesses and the shadow parts of yourself, and then you do no work with it, so it kind of runs away with you. There's no control whenever you get to a weak spot in your life again and that power takes over, you can't almost control. That's when people's actions don't align with their higher selves and they're kind of disconnected with what they do and who they think they are,
And that's what, because they're in a state of confusion, because they don't know what's happening, because they're choosing not to see all the information that is happening. So they choose not to see that the dragon behind them. Right? And so it's like they can't be in a state of acceptance or even a state of certainty of what's happening, because they decide to not actually know what's happening.
And dude, you know, that just to bring it back to like distilling also Jordan Peterson's main message down, which he like kind of hints at in the Bible, the psychological significance of the Bible lectures that he has, is what the Bible also tries to say, and a lot of other religious texts that he like overlaps it with, and like a lot of spiritual kind of belief systems.
Do you kind of believe it's a technology, so like of the mind?
Yeah, definitely. And what he tries to hint at is a lot same of what you're saying, is the hero's journey and the dragon. You have to confront the dragon to then excel in your aim. And this excelling in your aim, like first find your aim, and your aim is like kind of the highest wants and needs you want for yourself. And it takes a lot of like self-knowledge and self-discovery to like get to know yourself and then discover your aims through that path, you know? Because I feel like the fence-sitter approach to things is good early in your life, because you're like not fundamentally just believing one thing, you know, which can be really healthy to thought. Question everything, right? Like, it's really a good way to grow. But if you're going to start really making the most meaningful and important decisions in your life, you want to make sure your aim is somewhere fundamental enough for you to commit your life to it. I'm not talking true fundamentalism. Like, you can still even
got to base yourself on something.
Be flexible to something that you can divert to if that specific aim wasn't exactly what you thought it was when you tried it out. Because that's what we spoke about earlier, is try something out, have an opinion about it. You know?
So what I was thinking,
try something out, have an opinion about it, and then judge it and decide if you want to inherently bring it into your being.
So maybe here's a perspective that might help people that's watching, where they go, okay, how do I find my highest or the most pinnacle thing that I'm aiming towards, and then go for that? Because it kind of seems like it's far out of reach, because it's like the most, right? So how's about tying back into what you said, thinking about it in a way where, what is the next best thing that I want? So the next best thing is always, I want to be better. Right? And so what is the next thing I can do to make myself better? Once you're at that stage, let's say you got to that stage of what it is in the immediate future to make yourself better, what it does is, because you've improved as a person, right, in terms of the way that you think, maybe you working out, whatever, it allows for you to see more options.
Yeah.
And then you can start to find the things in there that you like.
You adapt your mental states and how you think about
because
things.
Maybe the options that you have based on the knowledge that you have is not the things that you actually like.
Yeah.
But you need to attempt one to then create more variations of what's happening.
And then you have what Jordan Peterson calls a belief hierarchy.
Yes.
Because there's certain things that gravitate as truth more to you than other things, but some of these things don't overlap sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's why there's sometimes inconsistencies in how I would chat to you about it, because we have deep chats, bro.
100%.
I'm sure I've contradicted myself a couple of times, you know,
and that's when you know somebody's real is whenever they say something, it's very much the same thing that they're saying all the time. It might sound different, but it all is the same thing, and that's when you know somebody's like true to who they are.
And it's never just static, you know, it's always moving through, understanding through how you're doing, and it's always upgrading and getting more factions and more questions and more.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think when you hear slow down?
Relax.
One fear you have.
Fear itself.
What does love mean to you?
Everything.
Yeah.
What do you feel or think when you hear the word consciousness?
Complicated.
Okay.
Is it one word answers?
No, you can
okay.
phrase.
So I feel like archetypally one word answers would just do it.
Yeah, it would.
So
I like it. It also leaves something of mystery to the person that hears what your answer is and be like, why are they saying that?
Yeah.
What do you think when you hear photography?
I guess almost as cool as videography.
I so suddenly thought you were going to say simple, just to bring it back from like complicated to simple. Because I felt you debating that. You were like...
Okay. Best advice ever received?
What? Best?
Advice ever received?
From who, or just like
just
advice?
Any advice.
I'd say, I guess like what kickstarted the whole information, wanting to know things thing was Cosmos by Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he also always said question everything. And I think that led me to a lot of deep shit.
Yeah. You're an actual philosopher, dude. And questioning science is science. That's hypothesis.
Worst advice you received?
YOLO. Because you don't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
True.
Because that's seeing just the game. That's against the game of games.
It's true.
Like, just seeing the game is like just thinking that there's just this on Earth. Whereas the game of games is like, your consciousness surpasses this earthly experience.
In
and there's
so
another
many ways.
game busy there.
Yeah.
And that's maybe where spirituality comes in.
It's like it's like the energy game, but like without the limiting belief of, I need to do something in this lifetime.
Yeah. And it's also like damaging because you think you're just like this one experience, but there's a karmic thing to reincarnation that's maybe like 100%. This could be your last incarnation or it could not be. We don't know when you're gonna reach full enlightenment or singularity or whatever you're supposed to reach here, you know, like
that's
you
true.
could do it in this lifetime or you're gonna kill someone unjustifiably before you die and you're gonna reincarnate as someone being killed unjustifiably before they die, you know. That's true. Kind of how some people say it. Sorry, these are quick answers though.
One word, Scott.
Just Timo, what does self-awareness mean to you?
Self-awareness. It's a lot like self-awareness. It's like, I guess, self-knowledge. It's like, and self-knowledge is everything knowledge, because I think self and universe is that like energy, your oneness in the game of games, and like they're like, I think
also like everything on the macro level, like in your body, is like echoed throughout the universe. All the the shapes, the patterns, the way that energy arranges. Because
so self-knowledge is knowledge of everything. So it's knowledge is self-knowledge, and universal knowledge is also self-knowledge.
It's all this.
What does self-discipline mean to you?
I think it's sacrifice. And sacrifice. Go check the biblical lectures by Jordan Peterson.
Last one. What does being present mean to you?
Other than the gift, it's I guess it's something that you strive towards, but you can't always exercise it like you want to. So I guess it's, let's say, the goal.
Sweet man.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
You
wanna?
I don't want to end this one. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. We went through some mind-bending material. I'm definitely going to enjoy watching this one at some later point.
Yeah.
The 7th podcast is supposed to be the point at which 85% of podcasts fail or make it. So you are a deciding factor, though. The
pressure.
The podcast over was amazing.
That would have been a lot of weight to carry in these conversations, bro.
Not at all, dude. You fucking slayed it. Like by far the most mind-bending shit. But thank you, guys.
Cool.
Thank
and
you.
if anything, I want to thank you guys as well. Like, we need more people doing this type of stuff, and it's like I said, let's educate. Let's get stuff out there that no one wants to talk about. Let's get stuff out there that
Dude, would you?